Hello and welcome to our daily sketching routine. It is Monday, November the 3rd, 2025, and today I'll be continuing a deep dive into basic drawing. The topic will be tips on doing studies. But before we begin, welcome back if you're returning and welcome if you're new to the channel. I sketch and post every day and I use a timer to stay focused, and to build a habit I'll start a 10-minute timer. But yeah, I'll link to the other videos. There's a lot more details, and so far it's all been from imagination, but today we'll look at some stuff but use like the basic drawing principles. So far I've talked about angles, lines, and proportions, and it was just a way for me to organize what I thought was like the three kind of really important things that come up all the time as I'm drawing, especially from imagination, but also just in general. I'll list some ideas real quick for today. So for example, so these are tips. One is to draw a lot and draw lots of things. I think the next thing would be to use the principles. So use the drawing principles, which for example are some of the things I'm talking about, like whatever principles you want. There's a lot out there, but they tend to kind of have things in common. So for example, things like the angles and the lines and the proportions and stuff. So we'll do that today. Then the other thing is to be methodical about it. And by that I mean, well, one thing is building a habit or putting down the date, like put it in a sketchbook or or sheets of paper. But the point is that so you can see. So that's like the main tips. But like let's do some sketching. So one thing is this idea of like draw a lot. So I draw every day, but it doesn't have to be for hours. I mean, it could just be for 10 minutes. And then lots of things is like, for example, I just open up Pinterest and so it's random. So stuff like that where, because sometimes if I'm just thinking of what to draw, it's just going to be kind of the same stuff. And so when it's random, like today, I'm just going to draw like the first like row of thumbnails that I see. So that's one way to like do some studies. And so there's a difference between studying and copying. So this is how I do studies. And then there's also ways of like doing copies. Now, if I were really going to do a copy, I would just grid it out or like trace it or just find other ways or just reproduce it in some way. If we're talking about just copying something, I don't see the point in, unless I just really want to copy something like by hand. It's going to be slow, I know that much, but it's not a bad like exercise, I think, if you're learning. It's kind of like a musician doing a cover versus doing like a copy of a song. I mean, you can do a cover, but it's going to be in like the style of the musician doing the cover. So yeah, I'm just going to sketch the random stuff that comes up. And so that's a way to do something, draw a lot of different things without trying to come up with something. But I'm going to do this one. So this is like a castle that came up, and I'm going to do it, but like focus on like the angles of it. So angles have a lot to do with, so I'm not going to worry about like the proportion just yet. I'm going to like guess the proportion, meaning I'll just do it like, just do this one, but I'm going to think about like the angle of it. So like angles have a lot to do with the idea of the silhouette, which is basically the shape is what we're talking about. So I'll just put down like another angle. And so this is one way to practice that. So you can look off of something and just kind of do this. And it can be from life. It could be like a building that you're looking at. So this is one way to practice that kind of thing, without even like any shading or anything like that. Just to see if you can get like these angles. Moving on to the next thing. So this thing is a boot. That's kind of what I like about like the randomness of it. So I think it's good for studying. So I'm going to do this. And I am actually thinking about proportion just because, I mean, it becomes natural after a while. It becomes instinctual, but I'm not going to like worry about it too much. So I'm just going to think about like that, like there's an angle right there and then it like goes in. Now you can focus more on, let's say, the proportion of it, but again, it can be exaggerated. Like it goes in and then it goes like that. It goes like out or upwards, kind of like this. And so it's a way of practicing. So like it has like this kind of angle, and it can be more curved, but the angles are still there. And so it's a way of getting this kind of like confident kind of shape and understanding like different shapes. And I find this kind of stuff, especially if you want to draw stuff from imagination, to be helpful. So let's say I'm going to, so this goes with the idea of, so I'm using the drawing principles of like the angles, but I'm going to be methodical. So maybe to be methodical, you might want to, like, I'm going to invent something. I'm going to go like this. So I'm just kind of going off of this one. And yeah, just making some stuff up. So that's a way of incorporating doing like from imagination if you want to do that kind of thing, which I recommend. I mean, I enjoy it. But obviously I also enjoy doing studies. You can kind of do 10 minutes of just each thing. Well, the line, so there's stuff like that. So like I was saying about, let's just do angles again, but then focus a little bit on getting like the curves and stuff. So like there's a portrait or like a profile picture. So I'll do the angles here. Again, I'm not going to like worry too much about the proportion. You can kind of keep it in mind, but you can actually get away with it like quite a bit. But yeah, it takes, I think proportion, I mean, it takes some studying. But one thing is like you have these different shapes, like this. So you have these different lines. So for example, let's say it's hair. You can work on like the line work. But notice, I mean, this is basically just different angles, just kind of, that's the kind of stuff you would memorize. So just to, as an example, let's do like another profile up here, but I'll go in the other direction. And yeah, I'll say proportion. I mean, I talked about it a lot yesterday, but really it's just like the measurement of stuff. So I'll just kind of mention it. So for example, I know that there's an angle to the jawline, and then like the nose is right here, but that's like a proportion. So I'll just do this, and then I'll build everything off of that, for example. So the upper lip, and then like the bottom lip, the chin. I mean, it all looks different, but like that's the basic proportion. And then the bridge of the nose, the brow, and then the forehead. So I knew this goes up there because of the, it's kind of an egg shape. So it's kind of this. That's a proportion. So that's like a made up profile. This was looking at something, but it's these angles that you're going to actually remember. But then studies are good because how do you get like all the different variations? Well, that just comes from studying and looking. I mean, you can, but like look from an artist's perspective, if you will. Like, how would I draw that kind of perspective? So that's from study, but like made up something. But yeah, those are just some tips to play around with, like how to do studies versus trying to copy something. Because I'm always sort of going towards drawing stuff from imagination and using it for stories and characters and stuff. But yeah, that'll be it for today. I want to thank you for joining me for our daily sketching routine. And if you enjoy these videos, please support the channel. I appreciate it. And until next time, keep on sketching.